Well, hello one and all, gothatfunk here, and we're back to the realm of late night videos for me now that my son's back from his Easter holiday. So pardon me if I look a bit sleepy. Anyway, I saw all four of the final round things from Big Jerre Night Vision Phantom this morning before I went to work. And the challenge that he sort of laid out for Richard really inspired me to think about what Coughlin might do for a sermon. And it inspired me to do something kind of similar. Now, I want to stress that this is not a sermon as such. And I fully am not trying to get in the way of anything Richard's going to do. But it got me to thinking about when I used to be a Christian, the kind of things that I used to hear at church, whether I could say those things out loud and still mean them, you know. And so I decided to write down the things that I could say out loud. That would be, you know, if I have, and I do have plenty of friends who are Christians who take their faith pretty seriously. And, you know, if I had advice based on the things that I used to hear in church for my Christian friends who were having, you know, moments of doubt in their faith, what would I say to them? As an atheist, I can say things to them that are supportive of their point of view. I don't have to try to talk them out of their point of view. That's not compassionate to me. That's selfish. You know, if my friends have different viewpoints, I don't try to change that. You know, that's not being a friend. Anyway, so I've written down a few things. Now, to anyone who hears this who may be a person of faith, I think that most of this stuff is the kind of thing that I used to hear in church. Of course, I'm not going to be bothering doing direct quotes from Scripture or anything like that because, again, I want to stress this is not a sermon. But this is sort of my advice to Christians in particular on how to deal with non-believers and atheists in such a way as to possibly help advance your cause. You know, some friendly advice from an atheist, I suppose. Anyway. So I'm going to pretend that I'm talking to a group of Christians here, and here we go. When you're among your congregation, let me start over again. I'm sorry I have to read this, so there's no way I can get it right otherwise. When you're among your congregation, you feel comfortable and you feel secure, knowing that you're surrounded by people whose beliefs that you share. And while it's natural to feel this way, this is not to say that you should feel uncomfortable when you're confronted with people of opposing views or opposing beliefs. Such moments are all too common, and how that you deal with these people and these types of situations can prove to be a test of your faith. But, brothers and sisters, those are also moments of opportunity. In times such as those, you're called upon to do your utmost to be true to the teachings of Jesus Christ. This is the only way to demonstrate that Christ has touched your life. Otherwise, you stand accused by non-believers of merely seeking your own salvation while ignoring the important task of doing Christ's work here on earth. Now, this is not to say that you should try to convert non-believers every chance that you get. If someone is of another faith or is an atheist, quoting Scripture at them will only serve to put a barrier between you and the person you're trying to reach. All too often, such an approach turns both parties into adversaries, making any chance of being understood more and more remote. Inadvertently, that approach tends to make the non-believer more entrenched in their opinions, putting them further from Christ instead of bringing them closer, which is your stated goal. And my friends, if you can't make non-believers feel comfortable around Christians, how are you ever going to make them feel comfortable with Christ? So what can we do? What can be done? Well, there are two approaches, and both are advised if you want to make some progress. First, when trying to communicate with someone, it is important you speak the same language. And I don't mean English, German, French, whatever. I mean to use the type of language that they use. I'm not talking about being vulgar. I'm just saying use the sort of vernacular that makes them realize that you have an affinity for who they are and where they're coming from as an individual, you know. If you try to be understanding of another person's point of view, there's a better chance that you will be understood by that person. Listening is just as important as being heard. The best way to be interesting is to be interested. Ask questions and instead of refuting replies, demonstrate that you've taken the statement seriously. Try to find something analogous in your own life and compare your experience with theirs while trying to show how your faith helped you to deal with or to understand things better. If you listen to them carefully and take them seriously, you will usually find them able to give you the same courtesy. Secondly, try to let your life be an example of your beliefs. Many people say being a good Christian means trying to lead as close to a Christ-like life as possible. Of course, this does not mean that you try to perform miracles or heal the sick. It means to live up to the challenge of showing universal love and compassion for all. Admonishing atheists or non-believers is not showing them love. Holding out the threat of imminent damnation is not showing them love. Treating them in a condescending manner, sometimes even to the point of hostility, is certainly not showing them love and should be avoided even in the face of provocation. Turn the other cheek. If you want to win a soul, you have to first win the heart and the mind. Failing this, you must let your example of unconditional compassion work gently to remove the impulse to resist. If those who do not share your beliefs are destined to be denied God's favor after death, it is your solemn duty to do all that you can to make this life as meaningful and pleasant as possible. Selflessness is at the essence of what is meant by trying to lead a Christ-like life. Sacrifice is at the core of selflessness. All too often, people of faith are perceived as being selfish or as being self-righteous. Whether such perceptions are fair or not isn't really relevant. Every effort to show patience and compassion should be made. Every opportunity to be tolerant and understanding should be seized. Jesus showed you how it could be done. The simple wisdom of the golden rule, to treat other people the way that you would want them to treat you, should be the only guideline that you need. Too often you treat others the way that they treat you and consider that to be fair. And it may seem fair, but it's not how Jesus conducted himself, and his example is something that every Christian should seek to emulate. Now, to go into a metaphor of my own for a moment, a stone is hard and water is soft, yet every mountain is eventually torn down by the rain, one drop at a time. Serenity is stronger than severity. It is only a matter of time. Trying to live according to the teachings of Jesus and engaging compassionately and patiently with those of differing beliefs will probably bring some of them to Christ, and it will improve the world that we live in by making it a more pleasant place, making it easier for us all to get along. Getting along quite simply would make the world a better place, and surely Jesus would be proud. This is Got That Funk. Thanks for watching. May all your ups and downs be ups. Peace.